Every morning, the kind-hearted man followed his routine, feeding the hungry street cats in his neighborhood. It was a simple act of kindness that brought him joy, but today would be different. Today would change everything. As he set down the food bowls, movement caught his eye. A mother cat was racing toward him, something small and precious hanging from her mouth. Her eyes were wide with worry, her steps urgent and determined. When she reached him, she gently placed her tiny kitten at his feet. The man smiled, touched by what seemed like a mother proudly showing off her baby. She began to groom her little one with gentle licks, as if saying to look at her beautiful child. But something wasn't right. The kitten lay too still. No tiny movements, no soft sounds, nothing. With a sinking heart, the man reached down. The kitten's body was cold to the touch. What he thought was a moment of pride was actually a desperate plea for help. Now he understood the mother's frantic rush. She hadn't come to show off her baby. She had sought out the only human she trusted when her kitten needed help the most. Her actions weren't random, they were purposeful. This street cat had made a choice to bring her most vulnerable baby to him. He quickly arranged for the kitten to be rushed to the nearest animal clinic, but before he could follow, he noticed the mother cat had disappeared. Concerned, he decided to search for her. What happened next left him speechless. The mother cat was returning, with another kitten in her mouth. After placing the second kitten near him, she darted away again. This amazing pattern continued until she had brought all her babies to him, one by one. Each time, she gently set down her precious cargo before racing off for the next. The man quickly provided food and water for the exhausted mother. As she regained her strength, he marveled at her incredible love and intelligence. Even in her difficult street life, her bond with her kittens drove her to find help when they needed it most. While caring for this first family, someone approached with troubling news. Another mother cat nearby had a motionless kitten. Without hesitation, the man went to investigate and found a similar situation. This second mother cat also looked up at him with pleading eyes. His small home was about to become much fuller. With gentle hands, he gathered both mother cats and all their kittens. Though he hadn't planned on becoming a cat rescuer, he couldn't turn away from their need, especially after witnessing how hard the first mother had tried to get his help. At the vet clinic, the first kitten received critical care, fluids, warming treatments, and medication. Though dangerously weak, the quick action had given the tiny fighter a chance at survival. Later that day, the kitten returned to join its mother at the man's home. Following the vet's guidance, he placed the fragile kitten with its mother, knowing her warmth and care would be crucial for recovery. Their reunion was beautiful. She immediately began grooming her baby with renewed hope. The man transformed his home into a proper cat sanctuary. He created comfortable resting areas with soft blankets and quiet recovery spaces for each family. He prepared nutritious food especially for nursing mothers and set up bottle feeding stations for the weakest kittens. He made sure fresh water was available everywhere and kept clean litter areas. Every few hours, day and night, he carefully bottle-fed the weakest kittens. It was exhausting but essential work. These tiny lives depended on his consistent care. He learned to check their eyes for infection, their gums for color, and their bellies for proper digestion. As days passed into weeks, most of the kittens showed signs of improvement. Their little bodies grew stronger, their cries more demanding, their movements more playful. Even the first cold kitten made slow but steady progress under the watchful eyes of both its mother and the man. Caring for multiple cats and kittens was challenging. The man found himself constantly cleaning, washing tiny blankets, and monitoring each kitten's weight and development. When questions arose, he consulted the vet, determined to provide the best possible care. His home filled with the beautiful sounds of purring, meowing, and the soft patting of paws. What began as simply feeding street cats had evolved into a full rescue operation. Though unplanned, the man embraced his new role with dedication. As the kittens grew stronger and more playful, he faced an important decision about their future. Street cats often live short, difficult lives filled with dangers. After seeing their progress and forming deep bonds with these families, he couldn't bear the thought of returning them to that harsh life. He made the life-changing decision to make them permanent members of his household. He cat-proofed his home, installed climbing structures, and created cozy sleeping spots throughout. His temporary shelter would become their forever home. With proper nutrition, veterinary care, and safety, the rescued cats flourished. The mothers grew healthier, their coats becoming glossy with good diet and reduced stress. The kittens developed into curious, playful young cats who would never know the hardships their mothers had endured. The man's daily routine changed completely with his new family members. Mornings began with feeding and health checks. Afternoons found cats napping in sunny spots or following him around. Evenings featured kittens racing through the house before bedtime. Though sometimes challenging, he found deep joy in watching these once vulnerable animals thrive under his care. That first mother cat's desperate plea for help had started something beautiful that changed many lives, including his own. This rescue story teaches us important lessons. First, it shows the remarkable intelligence and love of cats. The mother's ability to recognize who might help and her determination to bring all her babies to safety demonstrates how intelligent and caring these animals truly are. Second, it highlights why spay and neuter programs for community cats are so critical. If these mothers had been spayed through a trap-neuter return program, they wouldn't have faced the dangers of raising kittens on the streets. Community support for these programs can prevent countless cases of suffering. Third, it reminds us of the power of everyday kindness. The man wasn't a professional rescuer or wealthy person, just an ordinary individual who chose to help when animals needed him. His willingness to learn, adapt, and open his home made all the difference for these vulnerable lives. For those inspired by such stories, there are many ways to help. You can support local animal welfare organizations, volunteer at shelters, donate supplies or money to rescue groups, foster animals temporarily, advocate for spay-neuter programs, put out fresh water for neighborhood strays, report cases of animal neglect or abuse, and adopt from shelters instead of buying pets. The man continues caring for his adopted cat family, finding purpose and joy in their presence. And he never forgets the image of that first mother cat racing toward him with her cold kitten. A moment of desperate trust that changed everything. This story shows how the smallest actions can have the greatest impact. The man didn't set out to rescue multiple cat families. He was simply feeding street cats as usual. But faced with a mother's plea for help, he responded with compassion. That choice began a chain of events that saved many lives. It also reminds us that animals are far more intelligent and emotionally complex than many people realize. The mother cat's decision to bring her struggling kitten to the man showed remarkable problem-solving abilities. Her return trips to bring each remaining kitten demonstrated planning and trust that many wouldn't expect from a street cat. In communities worldwide, countless animals need help. Many never find someone kind to take them in. This makes the work of animal welfare organizations, community cat programs, and individual rescuers so important. Through their efforts, more animals like this mother cat and her kittens can find safety, care, and loving homes. The man in our story didn't have special training or resources, just willingness to help and learn. His example shows that anyone can make a difference for animals in need. Sometimes all it takes is being present, paying attention, and responding with kindness when an animal reaches out for help. And in that beautiful connection between species, in that moment of trust between a desperate mother cat and a compassionate human, we see the very best of both worlds coming together. The man's experience changed how he saw street animals forever. What most people walked past without noticing, he now saw clearly. The struggle, the intelligence, and the need for human compassion. Each cat had a unique personality and story. The mother cats showed incredible bravery and trust, despite likely having bad experiences with humans before. Raising the kittens from such a young and fragile state created a special bond. They grew up seeing humans as sources of safety and care rather than threats. The once weak kittens eventually became confident cats who would greet the man at the door and sleep beside him at night. Their purrs filled the home with a sense of peace that hadn't been there before. The mothers too underwent amazing transformations. Over time, their cautious nature gave way to comfort and trust. The first mother cat who had brought her cold kitten became especially attached to the man. She would often sit nearby as he worked, as if still grateful for that moment when he understood her plea for help. He also discovered how important proper medical care is for street cats. Regular vet visits, vaccinations, parasite treatments, and eventually spaying and neutering for all became part of his routine. Though expensive, he found ways to work with low-cost clinics and rescue organizations to ensure his cat family received the care they needed. Word spread in the neighborhood about the man who had saved the cat families. Sometimes people would bring him other cats in need, or ask his advice about caring for strays they encountered. Without planning to, he became a local resource for cat rescue and care information. His small act of feeding street cats had rippled outward to help many more animals through shared knowledge. When people asked why he took on such responsibility, he would simply tell the story of the mother cat bringing her cold kitten to him. That moment of trust between species had touched something deep in his heart. How could he have turned away? In helping these vulnerable animals, he found purpose and connection that enriched his life in ways he never expected. The story of this unexpected cat rescue family shows us that compassion has ripple effects we can't predict. One moment of kindness, stopping to help a desperate mother cat, grew into something that transformed many lives, feline and human alike. It reminds us that we are all connected, and that recognizing another's need, even across species lines, is one of the most meaningful things we can do.